Let me give you the reasons. Give me three reasons. I'm going to give you three reasons why Tesla is in trouble, but I will also give you three reasons why I think that this is overboard. Okay, so let's talk Turkey here. First of all, let me explain to you what's going on with Tesla. What's going on with Tesla right now? No one likes Tesla. We don't like Tesla anymore. Actually, it's not Tesla that we don't like. It's Elon Musk. And when I say we, I guess 50% of the population. What does that have to do with cars? Well, unfortunately, it has everything to do because now there's actually backlash. There's actually an actual backlash against Tesla, the man and the car. So, as an investor, always, as I always say, you need to understand what is going on. You need to be informed. You need to be informed. Okay. So, let me inform you. And first of all, let's do one thing. Let's take a look at this video from one of the most proponent, the most positive thinker, and analyst that basically has been liking Tesla for a while. Okay, let's say what he used to say and what he's saying now.
It's interesting that you have defended this name not once, but twice in the last handful of days. On March 6th, last week, you called it a table pounder. Last night, you said your bullish view was unchanged. There are a lot of questions about the stock. It's been down 7 straight weeks. Why'd you feel compelled to come out and defend it not once, but twice?
Yeah, well, first, we've been talking to investors, all around the world on Tesla. And
So at this point, keep in mind that at the time of this video, he was still thinking, bringing up the aspect of the company, the AI mostly, because this is not a car company, this is an AI, was kind of forgotten in the mist, right? So listen to what he says.
is like, is this a moment that basically the bull thesis basically gets thrown out because of some of the brand issues, the distractions? And our view is when things are great, okay, anyone could be there. But when things are tough, moments like this, I think that's where we've been able to guide Tesla investors over the decade, right?
That's what I always say. Buy when everyone else is selling.
In terms of these moments, I don't believe that this is really a black swan event for Tesla in terms of the brand issues.
He said the word, and don't forget, my channel is called Black Swan. And always remember, subscribe and follow my Patreon channel as well.
In terms of something that could really deteriorate the medium and long-term outlook. But no doubt, we've talked about it. It's a moment of truth from no one, including ourselves, expected he'd be this involved in Doge, this involved in Trump administration, and it's really cascaded. And I think this is a pivotal moment for him.
Explain to me how you go from your bullish view unchanged, those are your words,
Yep.
last night, to this morning where you put out a note ahead of our appearance where you call it a moment of truth. Mm-hmm. What happened from last night to this morning where you didn't have that perspective until this morning?
Yeah.
How does this happen?
I think from our perspective, it's more hearing Musk, hearing from investors around the world, and it's basically us saying the medium long-term case for Tesla, I continue to view.
So basically what he's saying is it has nothing to do with the finances. It has to do with listening to the investors and listening to Elon Musk. So it's all about telling a story, which is something that I've always been telling you, my friends, that stocks are driven by the story.
I believe when it comes to physical AI, autonomous robotics, they're actually the best position company in the world. But with that said, to hear Musk continue to talk, and again on social media as well, it's really us trying to explain, like, look, this is the time, very similar as we saw during Twitter, very similar as we saw even called a year and a half ago. This is the time to lead. It's a time to be CEO, because I think patience is wearing thin among investors, and it was really to communicate those thoughts at, I think, a pivotal time for the stock.
The reason why the stock is down seems to be a confluence of events. Obviously, his presence within the administration, as close as he has become, he's become a much more polarizing figure politically. But the facts are the facts. And the facts are that sales are not good. And they haven't been good. Are you taking that into consideration?
Yep.
Sales in China down for the past 5 consecutive months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Down 49% in February, the lowest monthly figure since July of 2022. US sales down again last month, down 75% in Europe, 65%, down 75% in Europe, 65% in Australia. This has become more of a headline story to an actual fundamental breakdown.
They said it. It's a headline story. Listen, whatever happened with Tesla, what I want you to learn from this process is that it's about the story. Make sure you get the story straight all the time in your investments.
Somewhere.
Yeah, but let's also talk about what's ahead. In other words, the refresh from a Model Y perspective, when you look at a lot of the refreshes that are happening in Europe, in China, in the US, you got the unsupervised FSD in Austin. I continue to believe 90% of the value going forward is going to be autonomous, is going to be robotics when it comes to Optimus. And I believe from a demand perspective, especially when it comes to FSD, 15% of Tesla owners have FSD. That's what we estimate. As that goes to 40, 50%, I mean, numbers basically triple in terms of from an EPS perspective as that plays out. And look, I get it. This is a time, have we been dead wrong this year in Tesla? Of course, it's been a disaster call. But for 25 years, our best calls are ultimately in times like this that I believe as you navigate the noise.
Of course, you buy when it's low and you sell when it's high.
This will be not just a 1 trillion, but 2 trillion. But it comes down to Musk needs to balance.
Okay, so basically, what he's telling us, that I don't know. I mean, I didn't realize he was that involved. The company is got huge potentials. This is not a car company. This is an AI. The future is going to be in robotics. Is going to be in full self-driving. Don't forget, only 15% of the drivers actually have initiated the full driving vehicle. Once they all go for it, imagine the customers are already there. Okay, but one thing that he's not able to evaluate or foresee was the level of involvement that Elon was going to have in the administration. And frankly, how could you? How could you? It's almost impossible. So now let's listen to this more updated version.
Dan, I'm getting a lot of messages from friends in London showing me posters that are very anti-Elon Musk, anti-Tesla across London. How concerned are you that this branding problem can metastasize?
Now, don't forget, this is Bloomberg, not the greatest friend of the Republican Party.
And become much bigger than you're even expecting.
Yeah, look, Emma, if he pulls back and he balances it, and you don't actually see him every day in Mar-a-Lago in the White House, and especially from a political perspective, I think a lot of this it's a scar, but I think it's contained. I don't think it changes the longer term or even medium term outlook. But as we've talked about, I mean, the reason it's a moment of truth is you can have brand issues spread. The future is so bright. I believe it's the best disruptive technology company in the world, along with NVIDIA. But ultimately, this is really that moment where Musk needs to read the room. We've seen it before when it comes to Twitter, right? I mean, we've talked about when he was selling stock. We saw it at SpaceX. We've seen other periods over the last 8, 9 years.
Okay, you get the basic idea. So he needs to read the room, right? So let's read the room, because right now we are down again at another 1.32%. So what can you make out of this chart? Well, essentially, for the past, I would say, let's take a look at the past. Look, this thing is all over the place. But unfortunately, it is kind of hovering around the 50 moving average. But look over that period of time. Look at the moving average. It's down. Now, how much is it really worth, right? That's a question. Well, if we take a look at the P ratio, if you believe that, the forward P is 61. So, I mean, based on what the expectation is going to be next year, what they're going to make, um, the versus 111, it is undervalued. What else can I tell you? Well, the beta is pretty high, so that volatility is pretty strong. What else can I tell you? Well, as you could see, the expectation of the price range have been all declined. Piper overweight, they're expecting 450. Upgrade for Cantor Fitzgerald, 425, 400. Wells Fargo. I mean, our guy at Wedbush is the most, you know, the one that believes the most in Tesla, and he's saying 550. Um, this morning says must read to announce he will balance Dodge and Boeing and being a Tesla CEO. Magnificent seven stock, Apple and Nvidia. You know that so it's it's a problem for Tesla. It's a problem for Elon. Um, now, is it a problem for you? Not necessarily, because it's still a very strong company. It's still a very strong company in terms of its ability to generate cash flow. It's got huge potential with the AI, huge potential for self-driving vehicle. I mean, this thing is waiting to explode. The thing is, obviously, it's a lot easier to make money when everybody else is making money, and much more difficult when everybody else is losing money. Therefore, you need to buy when everybody else is selling. Um, and right now, in terms of forward guidance, the P is 60. I mean, one thing this string was trading at 115. It is becoming a story in itself, and this is what I've been telling my investors all the time: is watch out for the story, because if you don't get the story, then you're going to be landing and flying next to a black swan, and you don't want that. Um, Tesla is a great company. Elon is a great CEO. I mean, look what all the things he's done. Except now, he's getting in. He's getting into something else. He's getting ahead of himself. Now, why is he doing it? Who cares? The point he's doing it is pissing a lot of people off, and and the a car, driving a car is you are what you drive, right? If you're driving a Tesla and you feel like people are looking at you and saying, "Whoa," I mean, recently I was driving by and I saw on the highway this guy holding a sign about Trump and him getting involved with Putin and he's with Russia. So people don't really understand what's really going on. All they know is it's too much, right? And it's kind of the same thing with Tesla. So therefore, the best thing about Tesla is Elon, robotaxi, AI. And the three worst, it's the same thing. Elon Musk, they don't like him anymore. They don't understand what he's doing. Now, does it mean that you should be doing more of a CEO? But he's not building the cars. I mean, this idea that somehow he needs to be in the factory plant, putting the rivets together is ridiculous. That's not what he's about. When you're at that level, you're thinking, you're designing. And at some point, they thought it'd be great if he's part of the administration, because he's gonna have the whole administration will help him in his approval of the FSD. So where is that? That's gone. I guess nobody believes that anymore. Okay, robotaxi. Well, let's say what? Maybe you should be focused more on that. Let's see. AI. Well, you know what? The AI story is a little bit overdone. We don't really like. We really don't like Nvidia anymore, anyway, and they're competing with this other thing called. There was another AI program that came out, and they didn't like that either. So the AI story is basically disappearing in front of us. So therefore, what are you going to hang your hat on? Well, at the end of the day, you still, I don't know, somebody may take over Tesla. Who never knows? At some point, it becomes cheap enough that someone like I or an investor may look at it and say, maybe it is cheaper now. Don't forget, it's dropped quite a bit. So let's see what happens next. Do not lose faith. Try to make money in the stock market when everybody else is buying, everybody else is selling. Also, you want to protect your portfolio. You can make money on the way down. And right now, like I said in another video, basically, there's a lot of volatility. You could bank on that, and you can make money with volatility.